Hey, everybody listening to us on the YouTube channel. We're just about to go live on radio, so if you just hold tight for about another 15 seconds, we're about to go live. We're at Doghouse. You're listening to Doghouse. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. You are listening to the CPT Tower Radio, and you have tuned in to the Doghouse, the latest in gaming news, reviews, and discussion. We're your hosts, the Dog Pack, Husky, Dingo, and Updog.
Hey, what's up? Like he said, you're listening to the Doghouse. We got a pretty good show lined up for you today.
At the very least, it is a show.
It is a show.
It is indeed a show, and I'm excited.
And I think it's good, but,
That's a matter of opinion.
I think it'll be a good show. It's going to be good.
Let me just get this outline over here. All right. So, usually we jump right into the top of the hour. Before we go into any of that, we're going to go ahead and get into the weather and verse of the day. So, today's weather here in Conway on the 15th. Let me refresh this National Weather Service page. It's currently 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't bad. It was better than last week because it was freezing last week, I believe. It's really cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But right now it's marginally better. It's livable. That's 13 degrees Celsius for our legion of German fans.
Our horde of German fans.
Horde.
They're scrambling to just get a piece of us.
And
A glimpse of us would make their life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're the Hasselhoff of the airwaves. All right.
Amen, amen, amen.
Humidity, and we're just as handsome too. Humidity 28% outside, and this is in Conway. That's where we're broadcasting from. The wind, we have a northwesterly wind speed of 5 miles per hour. The wind chill right now, it's only like a 1 degree wind chill, so expect it to, if the wind's picking up, get around 54 degrees Fahrenheit, 12 degrees Celsius. So it's not too bad. We're going to be seeing pretty much weather like this. It looks like it's going to be heating up towards Monday night into Tuesday, but until then we got highs in the mid and high 50s to the lows, which are in the mid to low 30s. But then it's going to get up to the 60s around Tuesday, supposedly. But, who knows? Either way, it's not sweltering hot anymore, so that's all I can ask for.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a pretty mild for not.
And it's
for
really
no-
not cold either, which
Right.
is nice.
Yeah.
So pretty fair weather today. The Lord has blessed us.
Amen,
Speaking
amen.
of the Lord,
And blessing.
the big guy in the sky, we're going to move on to our verse of the day, which is Psalm chapter 119, verse 143. You want to take this one away?
Wow.
Dingo?
I feel like this is one of the last verses in 119. But anyway, so trouble and anguish have found me out, but your commandments are my delight. I think that's what that's supposed to say, but the mouse is kind of there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a good verse, though, because
Yeah.
that kind of speaks to, as long as you stay strong in the Lord, follow Him, that's an anchor in your life, even in the most tempestuous moments.
Mm.
I think
Of
whenever.
Look at that, using big words like impetuous.
Mhm.
I said
got that-
tempestuous.
You got that
You
I
word.
would
Skyward
say-
Sword fan?
You got that
Okay,
word
not
a day
yet,
calendar,
Not yet.
didn't you?
Hold on. But I want to say, I think this is really good because especially this is saying trouble and anguish have found me. So that's like you've got a really rough situation happening. But he's realized at this point that as long as he's obeying God and doing the right stuff, the trouble and anguish can go away. It'll pass.
Yep.
But his devotion to the Lord, if it doesn't fade, he can have joy in that. So
Pain is temporary, glory is forever.
honestly,
Glory in
as
the Lord.
creepy as it sounded, that's true.
Why did you say it like that?
I don't know. He's very.
Are you
strange.
okay? Are you okay?
Ad mortem inimicus.
Anyway,
All right.
All right, so that's the weather and verse of the day.
Yep.
Anyway, you guys have been listening to Doghouse. We're going to go ahead and get on.
Please.
We're done. We're done for the rest of the day. I'm kidding.
I'm just going to leave Skyrim battle music playing on loop. No, we're going to go ahead and jump into top of the hour. We got some pretty good topics for top of the hour.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and jump into yours first, up doggy?
All right.
Yeah, I was about to say I want to be Leia.
Yeah. So, I think yesterday, the early access for Minecraft Earth just opened in the U.S. So if you're in the U.S., you can get that now on iOS or Android. It's I guess the closest thing I can compare it to is like Pokemon Go, but Minecraft.
That's disgusting.
I know. You get like a little. I'm actually kind of interested to see how this plays out because you can walk around in this big map that's all Minecrafty and stuff, and it's generated from like a Google map sort of look. Like
Can I mine the Burgess?
Yeah, I think so.
No, seriously, that's kind of how it works.
Like as you walk around, instead of trying to find Pokemon, you're trying to find like resources, and then you can put down a little like a building plate, and you can build stuff out of the materials you've harvested. So like half of the game is wandering around looking for stuff, and the other half is just like, finding people's creations like scattered around your neighborhood
And destroying them.
Yes, I assume you can stomp on them or attack them or something, but like that's the basic part of the game. I'm kind of like, I feel like this game has kind of come out like almost as a response to Pokemon Go, but it's been a while, Like I would have expected this to come out like a year or two.
They might have
before.
been like, "Hey, that's a really good idea. We might think about developing something like that." I think it's more of like I don't know. Pokemon Go has a lot of criticism, but I think that it was a step in the right direction as far as mobile games go.
And it's gotten a lot, like Pokemon Go has improved a lot just over the last couple of years. And it's the most popular like mobile game right now. I just feel
as
like
popular as it's ever been.
I feel like maybe Microsoft is a little bit late to the party, if that makes sense.
Maybe they just decided to wait to release a full game instead of part of a game that they promised. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
I'm not even saying that about Sword and Shield, actually. I'm talking about Go, because
I
they
was
said
thinking
something
about-
about trading
that's
and
weird.
battling at the beginning. And
I thought you were like making
didn't
a crack
happen.
at Bethesda, but
I mean, well, actually, yeah, I am at that too, basically. But
yeah, that's my top of the hour.
we could say that's
Yeah, you
all
can
that.
you can check that out on Android or iOS again. That's Minecraft Earth. I tried to get it on my phone this morning, but it wouldn't work. Maybe you'll have more luck. Again, it's still the early access. So.
Yeah.
If you have trouble, be sure to let us know in the comments, and we'll report about it.
Comments on
probably.
our YouTube.
Sure, definitely.
Yes.
I will personally
Yes!
look over every single comment.
Yes.
He could do that.
Yeah. That will happen.
All right. Who's next on top of the hour?
I'll go ahead and go.
All right, friend.
So for my top of the hour, in a recent interview from BioWare devs, they're purportedly working on a new Dragon Age and a new Mass Effect. Both things that we kind of
Really?
we kind of expect. I mean, I kind of expected it because there was the two
Yeah.
big IPs. Just because you have one bad Assassin's Creed doesn't mean you're not gonna stop. Doesn't mean you're gonna
Yeah.
stop
They had a
beating the
bad
money
Mass
horse.
Effect.
I've heard
Two.
I've heard rumblings about the new Dragon Age
Andromeda?
for a while.
Just because you're gonna have Assassin's Creed doesn't mean you stop shilling. Okay. Just 'cause-
Yeah, I've heard rumblings about the new Dragon Age coming like in a few years. I didn't hear
Mm.
anything about the
Maybe this
Mass
one,
Effect. So
I hadn't either.
Maybe these ones will be good
As long as it's not another Andromeda, I think people will be happy.
as long as it's a finished game.
That's basically it, yeah.
yeah,
They need to make it They need to intend to make it for around the middle of the next generation's lifespan. I do not want it to come out on PS4. That would be stupid because PS4 is about to be opted out. I want it to come out for the PS5 3 years from now.
I'd like it if
If they wanted to, they could even make it like a PS4 and PS5
I would just
if
like
they
it.
wanted.
I would like it if I don't have to hear horror stories about BioWare's work conditions before this game comes out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Like, give
Yeah.
us a generous
Please, just don't
work
hurt-
on one game at a
Don't
freaking
hold
time.
your developers hostage, please. Just
Yeah, that's bad.
Don't pull a Rockstar.
no.
Oh, you're right. You're
No
right.
game is worth human suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like Odyssey. I don't know how many people had to die to make that game, but it's pretty good. Mario Odyssey.
Founding circles.
Check it out.
Come on and jump up in the
Mario Super Mario Odyssey is a Philosopher's Stone.
Oh no!
It's made of human souls.
It's made of toad souls.
Made
They're
of
trapped.
United
They're
States
trapped in the
souls.
artwork.
Oh boy.
Oh no!
It's made of all the generic ones.
all the
though.
moons
We
are
got all the
Philosopher's
cool ones.
Stones. All
Oh,
right.
dude.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Whoa.
if you had to choose one of these games, one of these IPs for BioWare to focus on and come out first,
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Actually, I'm not super pumped for Dragon Age because from what I've heard, the developers have claimed that this game is going to be woke as heck. I don't know what that means, but I immediately
scared.
I know.
Wait,
I'm immediately
what?
like that. I'm cringing, and I don't even know what's going to happen.
Is that
So
a quote?
That's a direct quote. That's a
Oh my
I'm
God.
Commentary.
I'm paraphrasing
Oh,
to
okay.
remove the curse words. But
Oh, okay.
woke. This game's gonna
Woke
be woke.
as HE double hockey stick.
Yeah.
If you
Wow.
catch my drift.
Sure.
Hombres.
Ombre.
That
But yeah.
gum. Okay.
I'm more excited for Mass Effect because that's a wild card, and I'd take that over.
I wanna
Something
be
that's
a.
woke.
I want them to let me be a Krogan in the next one.
That would be nice if I could choose.
I want Grunt
a race.
back.
Choose
too.
your race.
I want the Reapers back too.
I just want to play Mass Effect 1 again.
I want to play Mass
Honestly,
Effect
I've
2
never
again.
played.
Actually, yeah, there you go.
Never played a Mass Effect.
Dude,
But they're
we
really
need to
good.
stream that.
Yeah, we
You need to
should.
play Mass
I would
Effect
love
2.
to play 1 and 2. I'd
And
rather
3.
start with 1.
3 is
3's actually pretty good from what I hear.
3 is good up until the ending. It
The
doesn't
ending is
have
trash.
it doesn't have a good finish.
That's what my friends tell me all
It
the
doesn't
time.
have a good finish, but everything leading up to that is
And if you play it on the same system, don't you get to like carry your character
Yeah.
over?
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
BioWare's big about that. Did you ever play Knights of the Old Republic?
Yes.
It's that, but better. Knights of
Okay,
the-
I would
yeah.
actually be interested in that because to me, I played KOTOR 2, and the beginning is so slow. I couldn't. I
Knight-
couldn't do anything.
Knights of the Old Republic is like a proto Mass Effect. If that makes sense.
That
I
makes
think
perfect sense.
we're getting off track.
yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways, that wasn't the only thing that BioWare announced.
Okay.
They also announced that they're completely overhauling a certain IP that we love to make fun of here.
Fallout 76.
They're redoing Anthem.
They're overhauling Anthem.
They're making an Anthem game.
Like, are they actually making it this
They're
time? or
they're
is
just
this...
overhauling it what it is right now. They're gonna go in. They're gonna try to pull a Final Fantasy 14. They're just gonna scramble its brains and then try to mold it into something that's actually playable.
I am
If it works,
Apparently.
I am skeptical. I wait with bated breath though. I want to
Yeah.
see how this
Man,
turns out.
I can't wait for it.
I hope it. You know what? I hope it succeeds.
it's good,
I was
then
excited for it, and so I wanted to pull a 14.
If it's good, then a lot of people that have it already are gonna be happy, assuming they don't make you pay for the extra additions.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, then I get to make fun of it on the show again.
That's true.
Yeah, apparently everybody had thought that Anthem was dead though, so
I kind
I don't
of
know.
did.
I did.
maybe the people who spent $60 on it might have a glimmer of hope now.
That'd be nice. The flying was
them.
cool. I like the flying.
I didn't like how you had
I
to
didn't.
fly back to water because it overheats every like
It's
2
okay.
seconds
That
or
was
whatever. I think
Yeah.
that's dumb.
Okay. Yeah. I think we got. Is that all?
Yeah, they
for-
should have just had an overburn mode instead.
Yeah, that'd be better.
It'd be cool if maybe you had to land if it got too hot, and it would like release like a spray of steam behind you or something. But like,
Oh, and it could damage people.
sure, maybe that'd be.
Ooh,
one of the
you could build up
upgrades.
heat and then in battle you just release it.
Yeah, that'd,
That'd
be
be cool.
cool.
We're better game designers than BioWare. What are we doing? We should make the next Mass Effect.
If you want,
Hey.
you got to design it around the flight, baby. I don't understand why they didn't do that. 'Cause
That
it's
would have been
not-
cool.
They just like took Destiny, like a bad clone of Destiny, and they just stuck
Yeah.
some flying onto it.
Anyway,
Alright.
enough about that game. Let's move on to your top of the hour. Dingo, dingo, dingo.
Everybody
Do it,
knows-
Dingo.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
Anyways.
dingo.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So, my top of the hour, everyone should see coming because I'm a huge Sonic nerd. They actually listened and redesigned my boy, and gosh darn it, he just looks beautiful. He looks great. I'm happy they did it. They released a brand new trailer. The trailer looks fantastic. I've actually laughed at this trailer a few times, and even rewatching it, my favorite scene is Eggman goes to, I don't even remember what his name is, but the regular guy's house.
Jim Carrey.
No, not Jim Carrey. I'm saying the guy.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyways,
Wait, don't
goes
hurt
to
him.
his house. He goes, "Wait, don't hurt him!" And Jim Carrey just releases this, like, I'm freaking out scream, and I'm like,
Yeah.
honestly, would have worked better with the old design, but still funny. So
Okay, so
yeah, I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the movie now.
they basically they redid the design of Sonic for this movie to make him look more like
Sonic.
make him look more like his iconic.
He's adorable.
But like, listen, this feels like like a Sony mind trick to me. I have a conspiracy theory
Okay.
I'd like to lay on you guys. What if you had a really bad movie? So to drum up attention to it, you just made a controversy about it. You released like a really bad, unfinished trailer, and got everyone to be really upset, and then pretended to proceed like that trailer, releasing the trailer that you were already going to release in the first place.
I don't know if I'd agree. And my reasoning for that is that's a lot of time and work for
Not
the
really.
art people, and then also to push back the movie date for like Hollywood stuff. That doesn't happen too often. It does for games and things, but
I think that
Not
might have been
movies.
their date though. They just announced it for the earlier date, and they're like, okay, we'll reveal the real date when we reset it. I think because like
maybe I don't know.
they did a similar thing when they had New Coke.
Yeah, New
New
Coke.
Coke.
And then they went back to normal Coke.
Yeah,
They knew-
everybody hated New Coke because it tasted like Pepsi, and Pepsi's awful.
Wait, what? New
And then
Coke?
yeah,
What?
okay. So back in the day, Coke changed its recipe. They made this thing called New Coke, and they told everyone it was the greatest stuff on earth. Everyone hated it unanimously, and then Coke was like, "Okay, we're gonna listen to you guys and bring back normal Coke." And everyone was so grateful and excited that they bought a whole lot more Coke. But the whole thing was just a Jedi mind trick.
I
Yep.
see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
It's
and
got potential that that's what happened.
there's only one of the scenes that I see where like he heavily interacts with objects, and that's the one where missiles are being fired at him.
I didn't see that scene in the new trailer.
Yeah, I think you're. What about the one where he spin dashes into the tank?
I don't think that happens in the old one.
No, it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure it
The-
did.
He's
It
put
happens
in
in the
that.
old one
he's
and
put.
new one.
He's put in that scene, but you don't see the impact in the old one because I went back and checked, and I may
You
have
may
to do
not.
it again, but
Yeah,
I
I
do
was
not
gonna
see the
say.
impact.
And I'm
I'd
pretty
have to
sure.
watch
But
the
he
old
is
one, too.
standing. He is standing next to the thing where the other Sonic is. So
Mhm. And his little victory dance is like a total callback to his whenever he finishes a game or finishes a
Yeah.
stage, he does
Yeah.
a little dance.
I don't
like
know.
that.
I think best case scenario, this movie will be about as good as Detective Pikachu. Worst case scenario, it'll
be
be
bad.
Smurfs 2.
Oh, that's actually a really good. I like that.
This is
I
a
agree.
Smurfs movie. Sony does this all the time. They just.
It really is.
Ugh.
I think that's
I'm not. Yeah. I'm
that's
not
my
gonna get
biggest
into it.
complaint with it too, though. I agree. Is it should have been more like Detective Pikachu in the sense of if it had to have realistic people, it should have had like one or two, and they should have been on Mobius. But
Yes,
that's
it should. Okay.
my-
I
that's
think
my
it.
thought
I think they
process.
should have approached a studio like Blue Sky or something else. If they
or
really-
Illumination.
Or Illumination, if they really wanted to, they should have like approached
Mm.
like a CGI artist and just had them do a Sonic movie instead of all this live action stuff.
Mm-hmm.
root of story, lesson of the story that we need to take from this: don't give Sony your IP. It's a bad idea.
Well, unless you're Spider-Man, they did pretty good with that.
Well, they did okay with Far From Home.
Yeah, when they let other
Mm-hmm.
people deal when they let other people handle their stuff, it usually works out pretty well.
Yeah,
They want to keep making movies for the console, but like
yeah.
they can't make a movie for the theater. Just get
Yeah.
Kojima, hire Kojima, make him your
Hire
head.
Kojima,
Sony
yes.
thing. He
Kojima's-
wants to make movies anyways.
Kojima's
Yep.
independent now. He's done being played with by the man. He's
Kojima,
just
well,
gonna-
they can still produce it.
Yeah, they can
That's
help
true.
him though.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Actually, that
If
sounds
he
like-
works with the man,
Actually,
it's
like,
fine.
What if they made a Metal Gear?
Dude, that'd be so cool.
Who would be
I
the-
want it.
They are making a Metal Gear movie, actually.
They are.
Not Kojima, but they are.
Well, who's starring? Who's Snake?
Kojima has to.
I don't know, but they did voiceovers for it, for like announcing it. They're still shooting, I believe. But I believe they brought David Hayter in to like voice like one of the voice
Yes.
lines. I don't know. I don't think he's actually gonna play, but like
He probably won't be Snake. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Cool.
We're
So that's our
pretty
top
good.
of the hours then, right?
yep, that's our top of the hours.
We did it. We survived.
Check out the new
After
Sonic
20
movie trailer.
minutes.
Let us know what you think. I thought it was pretty good.
It was fine.
I honestly just like seeing Sonic. I don't know, like the
He
other
looked
design.
good.
I was like, I couldn't look away because it was like a car crash, but then I couldn't look
Yeah.
away because I'm like, that's a really good
It's really
actually
good.
high
looks-
definition render.
Like,
I like his shoes.
I don't think it's a good idea to put Sonic in the real world, but if you're gonna do it, that's not a bad try.
Yeah,
No, it's not. It's good.
I agree with you on that statement. By the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all we have for top of the hour. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. We're gonna take a quick song break. We're gonna be playing a Ready Steady Go cover by Amalie, and then a Song of Storms cover by Falcone. So stay tuned. Be sure to listen to these cool songs. We'll be right back, and we're gonna get into the meat. I believe we're gonna be doing the Stretchers review and my first impressions of Pokemon Sword. So
Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all.
be sure to stay tuned for that.
All right.
All right, be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Don't touch it.
Ready, steady, can't hold me back. Ready, steady, give me good luck.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to CBC Tower Radio. You're tuned in to the Doghouse with your hosts, Husky, Dingo, and Dogback.
Yep, that's me. That's my name. That's who I am.
Welcome to the show.
What's up? Yeah, so we just finished with our top of the hour. Now we're going to get into the meat of the show.
That's some tasty meat.
Delicious.
Delicious news.
All right, so what do you want to do? Do you want to do my first impressions of Pokemon Sword, or do you want to do the stretchers?
I'm gonna let you decide since you're the one not doing it.
Actually, I kind of want to hear about stretchers.
Cool.
A little bit, like because it looks fun.
It's actually really fun. I'll go ahead and start my review. So
All right.
I'm gonna kind of make it quick because I realized we're kind of like almost halfway through the show,
Yeah.
and so I want to make it quick so we have more time for the dogfight. So I've listed, and I'm gonna kind of just read through and briefly explain positives and negatives. I only have 2 negatives. I'll just go ahead and say that now. So the positives. 1, it is a very fun multiplayer game. There's a bunch of wacky things you can do with 2 people. The weird thing about it, and this is kind of a negative as well, is you can only use Joy-Con in this game. So I didn't understand that design choice because to me, I'm like, you could totally just use a Pro Controller and it'd be fine. But
Yeah.
anyways,
A lot of indie games have kind of that issue. They have to pick and choose how much time and money they can put in developing a control scheme. Like not everyone can. Yeah.
which kind of stinks, but I understood.
Hmm.
And so, but honestly, the Joy-Con thing, it's not even too much of a negative because the game fits it. And so it's fine in that regard. You've got some cool customization things. And by that, I mean you can customize your character as you go throughout the game. You get different hats. You get different colors that you can wear for your costume. Because like you initially start out with red and blue, but you can get like green and some other ones.
Ooh.
And so it's actually really cool how you can customize your character. So each one can be kind of unique and different. It's really easy to pick up and put down at any time. So you can pick it up, do a mission, and put it back down for a little bit, and then go about your day, and then come back to it. It's also really good for casual gamers, I would say. My fiance does not play a lot of games. I think the only one she's ever played with me really on the Switch and really enjoyed was Kirby, because Kirby's good.
Yeah.
But she actually really enjoys this one, and so I've got my casual gamer knowledge from that. It's got really good level design in terms of the puzzles and stuff because as you're playing through this game and getting the people, like the medics, to the patients and then bringing them back, it's got a lot of interesting ideas going along with that. Sometimes you need to use fireworks and blow up rocks, and other times you need to use a saw to cut things down and make a pathway. And then other times you've got to do some other things.
That reminds me of another game
Oh,
that
cool.
we're going to talk about later in the show.
Okay, sounds cool. Another thing I really liked about this game is it's got really funny and cheesy dialogue.
Right.
It's very cheesy, but it's even gotten like like one of the like brief chuckle
Sure.
things.
Yeah.
2 things that are actually negatives, like really bad negatives, I'd say. It's not the best single player game. I think this is something you should really play with somebody, not by yourself. Controlling the 2 medics by yourself is kind of weird. I think they did the best they could with it, so I give them props on that because it's kind of hard to control 2 people with one 2 controller thing
Yeah.
because you're using both the Joy-Con to do that. But they did a fine job with it, I think.
Yeah, and I think the game kind of sells itself as a multiplayer experience. so-
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and this is this isn't even really a just me thing. I feel like this is going to be for everybody. The sumos suck. So the thing is, you've got different. As far as I've gotten, which I think I've gotten a little over halfway of the game.
Right.
There are 2 body types, I'll call them, which is a regular Dizzy, which is just like a regularly proportioned person, and a sumo, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a man in a
morbidly
diaper.
obese man.
Yes. And so the thing about them is, 1, you have to have both of your medics carrying them in order to go anywhere near fast. You can put them on the stretcher if they actually stay on it. Because, see, one of the cool things this game does is it tells you whenever you've actually got someone on the stretcher and they'll stay by giving you a little point bonus for, like, putting them on there correctly. But for some reason, sometimes sumos just don't want to stay on there. And so me and Allison, like a great example was today. We sat there for 2 minutes, which you're timed for bonus time, so it's a big deal for 2 minutes doing this. We sat there trying to put this sumo like perfectly on the stretcher, which you're supposed to be able to fit more than just one person. But we just had one guy we were trying to put on there. And it took us forever. And eventually we just gave up on it and decided to just carry him over, which took forever. And so sumos can just really be a crawl. I think in terms of maybe making the hit detection better as far as, he's on the stretcher, putting him on there, maybe increasing the range of that or something would fix this issue, but it's just something that I myself had a lot of issue with. I actually gave this game a score. I think it deserves it because it's actually a really good game. If it was a bad game, I'd just tell you it's bad, don't play it. But I give this an 8 out of 10. It's a $20 game. So I saw it, said this looks stupid, I'm getting it, and actually have been really enjoying it. And so I'm going to continue playing this. I'm going to beat the game. It kind of has like a cool story thing that's happening in the background if you actually read the dialogue. And so it's kind of nice. It's a really pleasant surprise from Nintendo.
Nice. I like it whenever indie games are able to, pull it off and be excellent.
I watched you guys playing it. It looked pretty fun. It looked definitely like a co-op game, like you were saying.
Yeah.
I enjoyed like the little puzzles you get as you explore the island. It looks like, and it looks like a goofy game that you can have some fun with. How much is it again?
It's only $20.
Yeah,
it's really
$20
not bad.
experience. All right, yeah,
And it's
I
got
think
quite
that's
a
fair.
few stages. I think it actually may have 20 stages, so it's like $1 a stage almost.
Yes, so
That's 20 more stages than I got.
Same. Let me double check that
that's
though,
a
real
lot
quick.
of stages.
I only got one stage. It's a water level, so I don't go there.
Hey, look, sometimes that's good.
Stages.
Sometimes.
My swimming mechanics are really bad.
I really wish there was a stage list on a wiki or something, but I'm not finding it.
All right.
It's okay.
Well, while you're searching for that, Husky, why don't you take us into your meet?
So today,
Okay.
today on this day on the 15th, Pokemon Sword and Shield released. It's a game that's had a lot of anticipation, a lot of controversy, a lot of people whining on social media about it. If you're one of those people, get a job.
Get off our show.
But yeah, it's a Pokemon game. I'm going to give you my first impressions. It's a little bit of a review, but not sort of, because I haven't really gotten to the first gem. I'm taking it slow, like I do every Pokemon game. So a little bit of background. I stopped playing Pokemon after Soul Silver and Heart Gold.
Which is a long time ago.
Because I was... What was that? Pokemon Black and White came out after that.
Yeah,
one, right?
a lot
It was
of
a while
people
ago. That's what I'm
immediately
saying.
after when I saw the first things of Black and White, I was immediately like, I don't want to play this.
a lot of people
series
jumped
anymore.
ship at that
What?
point.
Black and White was
Black and White is the low
saw
point
that-
of the series.
Oh, I thought it was pretty good.
Well,
There are people that say it's really good, and then there are people that like me. I was like, okay, I'm done with the
It
series.
does introduce the trash Pokemon.
I like the OG. I like the OG aesthetics and art style, and they departed from that as they jumped to
Yeah.
the new stuff.
That's true.
People like that art style. That's fine. I don't have a problem with people liking. It's just not for me.
Exactly.
This is the first one I got back because I was like, okay, I'll give it a try on the Switch. I can play it on my TV. I didn't want to play Let's Go because I've already played through Kanto 10 times. But
good.
I got this game, and my first impressions. First of all, Hoot Hoot's back, so 10 out of 10. But no, I was really excited when Hoot Hoot came back. I don't know why I love that thing. I just like owls. But anyway, it's a Pokemon game.
yeah.
It's got some cool stuff. I enjoy some of the initial Pokemon you find. Some of the Pokemon look really stupid, and I wish they weren't there. That's
That guy.
common stock for me walking at Pokemon nowadays.
That's fair.
At least I got the one that didn't have Galarian and Ponyta. I think it's stupid. I know Fish likes it. I know Sleepy Basset likes it. He's over there in the corner. I don't like
He's
Galarian
playing
and
it right
Ponyta.
now. I don't either, really.
But
I mean,
some of them I got.
Sorry.
I really like the designs of some of them.
Surfetched.
Nitpick is cool. Or not Nitpick. Nickit is cool.
Do you like Surfetched?
Yeah, I love Surfetched.
Thank
I'm
you.
a Lance
Okay.
Bane and Monster Hunter. Why wouldn't I like him?
Okay, good. As long as we can agree.
Surfetched is amazing. He's my boy.
That's my boy.
Some of them are cuter or cutesy, but cute in the good way, and some of them are just weird.
Mhm.
it is an easy game though, and I haven't liked a single character. Like you're supposed to like this champion Leo, I believe. Like he's supposed to be the guy that's like give you free Pokemon.
Oh yeah,
He's like-
Leon.
He's like, yeah, we're gonna challenge me, do the gym challenge. I'm like, I hate
Dewgong.
this guy.
Now you want to beat
I
him
hate
Is
even
it just
more.
lame or is it
All the
just-
characters that are supposed to be my friends,
Yeah,
I find them so annoying.
that's a Pokemon game then. That's how it's supposed to work. Did you ever play Sun
But
and
like
Moon?
that's common stock for Pokemon. I don't
Yeah.
play the Pokemon for the characters. Play Pokemon for the capturing of the Pokemon and everything.
Battle
This is
of
the first
Pokemon.
Pokemon I played that has the universal experience share already built in. There
Do
are a
you
lot
like that?
there are a lot of people that don't like it, and I'm like, every other RPG I played it has it when you play in a party. So I'm like, this is just like a normal RPG.
Exactly.
I like it. I enjoy the common XP. I think it's cool. It definitely takes a lot of the grind, and it's still a grindy game.
Mhm.
But there are people who are like, well, I won't talk about that. The game seems a little bit easy. I really haven't had any trouble with any trainer battle. This is probably the easiest I've had with a trainer battles thus far. So we're gonna see how it goes. Graphics are okay. I don't know. Game Freak was never a technically super great studio. I don't really have an opinion on all that stuff that's been going around the controversy. I just looked at
Yeah.
the game and I said, why not? I wanted to play it because this is the first one I'd be able to play alongside my friends.
Yeah,
So,
that's a fair point.
yeah, Pokemon. I got Pokemon Sword. It's pretty okay. I don't really have a super big problem with. There are a few things with the animations I'm like, but like a lot of times I don't really notice it too much because like the other 3D Pokemon games like Gale of Darkness, they have a physical attack animation and a special attack animation
Mhm.
that usually comes out. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I found it interesting. My favorite thing so far was Nitpick. How whenever they do a special attack, Nitpick is like a fox and it has this bushy tail that kind of goes behind
I
it.
think I've seen that one.
Whenever it does a physical attack, it hits something and then it'll run back, but it'll like cover up its tracks with the tail.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That
its
is
thing.
cool.
That's
I'm
pretty
like,
cool.
that's so cool. Right now he's in my party, so
Mhm.
it's interesting. I like it. Definitely not. So far, I like Gale of Darkness more, and that's one of my favorite.
But yeah, Scale of Darkness was so good though.
You can't beat Gale of Darkness. Soul Silver / Heart Gold, and Gale of Darkness are my two favorite Pokemon games of all time. Platinum's good too.
Gale of
Nice.
Darkness is one of my favorite Pokemon games. Wow, I never knew we had a bond like that. That's
I
crazy.
didn't really play any Pokemon.
I'm gonna
I-
put
But yeah,
that down on
I
my
do-
First impressions.
Yeah.
D&D.
It's a Pokemon game. If you don't like Pokemon, don't play it because you're not gonna like this one. It's probably easier than the other one. So if you left, I talked to another guy who said he left Pokemon because it got easy. This is not more difficult. This is
This isn't
well,
returning point.
to be fair, the game's got 30 hours.
Yeah.
You've spent how many?
I spent this is just first impressions.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we need to realize
so
that too.
take that with my opinion with a grain of stock, but it doesn't seem
Like it's going
Right.
down.
difficult. But I'm not saying that I love the trainer battles when I get to them. So I wish
Sure.
they would have put more trainer battles in the wild area thus far because I haven't met any. But it's cool exploring the wild area and going all these. There's a lot of new little things in it. It's
Mm.
weird. I haven't got to explore the nooks and crannies, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's all I had to say for my first impressions because we're running out the time. So
And we need to get to the dogfight. Here we are at the dogfight already. I know you're probably thinking, "Wow, that was a quick transition." You're
Oh, yeah.
right because I wanted to get here.
Stop wasting time.
Thank you. Okay. So, in this corner, repping the sword pointed skyward, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword's fanboy, Updog.
Yeah.
I like that. That was good. Awesome. That's all you're getting. Okay. I was about to say, you're getting something really quick. I should have.
Well, now you're wasting time by explaining it.
Well, too bad. Anyways, in this corner, he likes foxes, he likes wolves, he's kind of a furry. It's Husky,
Am I
featuring
right, lads?
Amaterasu's Okami.
Ow.
Okay, cool. So, all right, boys. So here we go. We are going to jump right in with introduction argumentes. Who would like to go first? Or would you like to rock, paper, scissors?
Winner goes
That's-
first, or what?
Winner goes first.
Winner goes
I'm
first.
saying.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All
go
right,
first.
you're
All right.
first, friend.
So, yeah, Skyward Sword, probably the most hated Zelda game of all time, right next to Wind Waker. But where people have kind of softened up on Wind Waker, a lot of people just don't like the design choices of Skyward Sword. I'm going to try to do my best to kind of explain maybe the point of view, like they were approaching Skyward Sword and when they made it, and kind of explain some of the risks they took. And hopefully, like, it kind of remind you that some of the stuff that you might not have liked about it wasn't so bad. And I'll try to talk about some of the stuff that I really liked that I think was like a highlight so far in the series. Like a lot of the stuff in Skyward Sword helped inspire the series going forward. And some of that stuff hasn't been topped yet by any Zelda game. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the things I don't like about Okami.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's it.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything less from Dogfight. You got to talk about the other game, too. All right, here we go to the other corner for Okami. Husky, what do you got?
All right. So my opening thing for Okami. Okami was one of the best games that you probably have never played. It came out in 2006 at the end of the PS2 era, right as Xbox 360, PS3, and the Wii were coming out. So there were not.
Everybody already jumped ship.
It actually had one Game of the Year a lot of times that year, and it's the least selling Game of the Year ever because of that. Wrong place, wrong time.
It just got buried in all the
Yeah,
stuff.
it was unfortunate, and it's unfortunate because this is such a well-designed game, and it does take a lot of its design from Zelda, but it also adds its own unique style to it. It has dungeons, and the dungeons are fun, but it's more about the exploration and, you know, the exploration aspect of it and enjoying the great visuals. Those are all integrated into the gameplay, and that's why this is such a seamless gameplay experience, because everything you see, everything you hear, down to the very last pixel, all relates to the overall game experience. It's all related. It's all a complete package. Now, I'm gonna go into more detail about that later, but right now I just want to say Okami. It's been vetted. It was made by vetted.
It's been vetted.
It was made by vetted
Brought it to the vet.
game developers
It's had its shots.
Okay, let's let him finish. Let's let him finish.
It worked.
I get it,
That worked
but-
on Bayonetta, Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4. These are people that know the industry, and you can tell because it's a well-made game. Unlike my opponent's game, who, while it had a lot of good ideas, I think they weren't executed well. And I did enjoy Skyward Sword when I played it, but I'm also not ignorant of its glaring things that I think detract it and make it the reason why Nintendo scrapped the 3D formula and went to Breath of the Wild. You killed it. You killed that.
We'll see. All right, let's keep it going.
All right.
So I will, since you started with the intro argument, I'm gonna let him start with the next segment.
Okay.
So I want you to talk not about combat, okay, because that's
All right.
something that
That's
as
fair.
a specific thing. I want you to talk about everything else gameplay-wise, though. So in terms of, is there anything besides combat gameplay-wise for either of your games? Is there anything you can do? I'm trying to think of the best way to put this.
It's okay
Because I
if-
don't want to say like side quests, because that's something else I kind of want to talk about.
I might have to
but-
compare this a little bit to Zelda too, a little bit, just for the
Well, that's
scope
the
of
point.
reference, so you can understand it. So I can
Yeah.
tell you, I'm trying to distance it away from Zelda and tell you how like
He
its
has
own
to,
thing.
yeah,
It's
he has
related.
to, he has to show how it's like Zelda, because that's
but not
that.
at the same time.
That
I
is
think
the fight.
yeah.
I mean the
They took a lot of inspiration, but Zelda's a franchise. If you're going to take inspiration from something, Zelda's
Sure.
the one to do it.
it takes a lot of the director has come out and said that the game specifically takes a lot of inspiration from Ocarina of Time.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, he has
if
said
you're gonna steal from something, steal
Yeah.
from somebody who's rich.
And so, I guess in terms of gameplay, this whole thing is about. In Ocarina of Time, for instance, it's all about using your tools and how you use it to navigate. And this one, the whole thing is centered around your character, which is you are the goddess Okami. And this is based on Shintoism and the folklore around that. But it's based on you being a goddess in that sense, and how you influence the world around you through your godly powers with the celestial brush. This is not one to cooperate right now. So
fine.
this manifests in different brush techniques. So, and the way that goes,
What was this brush called again, real quick?
the celestial brush.
Celestial brush. Okay, thank you.
So instead of using various tools, basically the entire world is a canvas.
Okay.
And you can see this reflected in the very like black ink style that's actually derived from a Japanese art style. They just put it in the game, so it's almost like it's the game is designed to look like a beautiful painting. It's designed to be very visually appealing, and like Wind Waker, it hasn't aged hardly at all, the visual style of it, because they both use cell shading.
I see you using Wind Waker. I saw that.
Except in this, it takes it a bit farther in that you can paint on that canvas and influence how it goes. A lot of the times, you'll go into different areas, and they'll be very gray, dismal, dark. And then by the time you're reviving that area, you revive the nature in that area as a goddess. You give people hope in that area, and then you're rewarded with these bright, colorful pictures in this area that reward you with these beautiful landscapes that you are highly encouraged to explore, because much like Mario Odyssey, this game encourages using your movement options, your double jump, your gliding, all of that stuff, how you use your painting strokes. It encourages you to explore every nook and cranny, which is really fun, because a lot of games that do it, it gets kind of mundane and it's not fun. But not only does your character move fast, and you have a fast travel mechanic, so you can go back and forth if you don't want to see it. But the places that, a lot of times when I found myself playing, I didn't use the fast travel mechanic, because I was just like running and leaving this trail of flowers behind me.
Okay.
This blooming trail of life. So it's fun in that aspect, because you get to explore all this beautiful area, and you're rewarded through the great visuals that come into play with your gameplay as far as using the celestial brush. So it all kind of, am I communicating that well?
No, I get it. It all comes together with the celestial brush, infecting the environment to therefore make it more lively.
It's a very simplistic passage, but it's so beautiful and rewarding. I've played it twice now, and I loved it ever since. And
okay. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think, I was about to say, I want to make sure everybody's got time for all these questions, because
Right.
I do have a few more too.
I apologize.
No, you're fine. That's good. All right, so I want you to go ahead and talk about the gameplay stuff. Minus combat. What can you do, and what all does it affect?
Well, I think the main selling point of Skyward Sword is the motion controls. I think whether you like Skyward Sword or not, I do think Skyward Sword is like the best example of a Wii game using motion controls. A lot of people said they had trouble with it. I never did. Like generally, if it started to get shaky, I just needed to change the batteries in my controller. But like everything that you do in the game, it feels like the control you have over Link's motions is like the best in the series. So like you end up doing a lot of like really like just picking something up and like looking at it is a lot more interesting, because like it moves with your hands as you're like examining it. So like even like little minor things that you do in the game become really interesting. The story is like this Zelda game is like the most story driven out of the whole series. It's also like the most cinematic. So like they spend a lot of time like really making you care about these characters. Like it's still kind of the same. It's still the same Zelda story where you got to go rescue the princess, but this time she's not the princess. She's just some girl that Link really likes, and Link's not the legendary hero this time. He's just some guy who has to try to become this hero. I think a lot of people didn't like how like outside of the dungeons. I guess dungeons are kind of combat, but like the overworld in the game is kind of designed in a similar way to dungeons. Like the area around the dungeon is like an extension of the dungeon. So like the whole thing is you kind of have to figure out how to find a way forward. Like it's designed to be more puzzle oriented, which I found really interesting. There's a whole lot of collectibles in the world, in the form of like different like bits of ore and bugs you can find, and each of those is useful to you because you can use them to upgrade your gear and weapons. Something I didn't like about Okami as much, like they didn't do this very well, is like there's a lot of extra stuff you can do in the game. There's like 3 different kinds of bestiary that you can fill just through like exploration, like doing extra things and fighting enemies and stuff, but you don't really get anything for doing that.
Sure you do.
You don't really get anything that affects gameplay. In Skyward Sword, all the stuff that you find to make your weapons better and more interesting, like helps improve like the way you play. Like if I really like the slingshot, but it's not very good, I can just spend a whole lot of time making that slingshot better.
If I remember this right, don't you get praise for getting these bestiaries, which you can use to upgrade your stats and increase, and also they go towards a grade towards the end of the game, which you can unlock extra skins, including this hyper-realistic Okami skin, which is haunting.
I'm saying like there isn't like a direct relationship between doing these things
Okay.
and gameplay necessarily. Like I'm trying to point out that like I explore the game and I find things and I can use those things directly to like
Okay.
improve my experience. Like I don't have to do them, but like if I feel like it, I can just do it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also a lot of people didn't like the Skyloft area because they felt like it was too like barren or there wasn't enough to do in it. But something I really liked is as you're exploring like the ground level of the game, you would find things and that would change the sky. So like if you just kind of like if you're just trying to rush through the game and you don't find anything in the sky, you know, that's because you're not trying to explore the ground. And the game gets bigger the more effort and like the more you want to explore it.
Right.
If that makes sense. But yeah, I think that's all I got for non-combat stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to jump, and we'll start with you like we did last time. We're going to jump right into combat now.
Oh, boy.
So I want you to discuss combat. What makes your game more interesting combat-related than the... Okay.
I'm excited.
What makes it more interesting than the other one because of what your combat brings to the table?
The combat in Skyward Sword is so good. In every other Zelda game, and in Okami too, you press the button and you do an attack, and that's about it. You wait for your enemy to have an opening and you just do it. In Skyward Sword, every single enemy can kill you because it's an intricate dance of like trying to find an opening in their defense. Like even like a basic Bokoblin will like block your strike if you're doing it really, you know, if you're not doing it quick enough or if you're just like really open with your technique. So like by the time I reached the final boss, I felt like some kind of fencing master with how good I had gotten at blocking and parrying in this game. I actually feel like I'm learning something as I'm playing. It's such a deep combat system. And like as good, like as interesting as like affecting the visual world of the game is with Okami, I didn't like how it would kind of stop every time I do the brush. That just kind of took me out of the experience a little bit. But with Skyward Sword, it always felt like I was right there in the middle of the fight. And also, like the more powerful bosses, like you fight a lot of really big monsters, but the game knows that it's like fencing, and I'm gonna call it fencing because that's how advanced it was. The game knows that its fencing is like its highlight, so like the really powerful or recurring bosses would all be kind of based around your swordsmanship.
Okay. Is that
Also all of the extra items you have, like the bow in this game was really fun because you'd kind of have to pull back the controller and aim it like you aim a bow.
Right.
You don't just lock onto every single thing
You
with
might
it.
want to make this one his closing argument too, just because we're.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Closing
so in
argument?
other words, so with this, I'll go ahead and add this because
Sure.
just because I want to know background stuff because you kind of talked a little bit about story, and so I think that's fine.
Okay.
So also, and this is for you to remember too. So combat, but also the background, and by that I mean music and NPCs. Are there any interesting NPCs? Is there any interesting music you'd like to talk about? You can do any of that.
I like a lot of the music in this game. It's all really like uplifting, really big tracks whenever you're up in the sky, and then there's some like creepier string instrumentals when you're down in the dark and like exploring these ancient like horrible places that are on the main land. I like how I like a lot. Every single character in this game goes through like a character arc. I mean, you got the best Zelda NPC. You got Groose, who's the best. Link. I feel like this Link is the most fleshed out as a character. Like at the beginning of the game, everyone you talk to is telling me, Link, when are you gonna get your act together? You're not some cool rancher in this game. You're a total screw up, and you need to. Everyone's telling him to wake up. And then like as you're going through the game, you kind of earn the trust of different characters by your actions, and like in the first part of the game, you're trying to get to Zelda. Like that's all Link really cares about, and he keeps coming like just a little bit too late to save her. And so like you kind of learn to like care about more than just your own personal stuff, and there's a bit of like sacrifice and different things. All of the bosses in this game have like really good designs, and like I think Girahim is probably the most fleshed out Zelda villain also.
That's fair.
I just feel like this game is the closest we're ever gonna get to like a really good Zelda movie or TV show. And I mean that in a good way. They didn't sacrifice gameplay to make this more cinematic. They realized that the gameplay they had lended itself to telling a really good story that could get the player really invested. The things I don't like about Okami kind of boil down to like they took the Zelda formula, and that was it. Like they put their own spin on some of the stuff, like the interesting combat and the tail stuff, which is kind of similar to playing songs with your ocarina. But they didn't really look at the problems of that system and try to change them. Like there's a lot of hand-holding in some of the dungeons. The whole game kind of stops when you're doing the stuff with your painting, like it does when you play your ocarina. And I feel like, yeah, it's got some really cool stuff you can do between the visuals and the story and combat, but I wish they had like pushed that even harder or like leaned into their own thing. And hopefully we'll get to see stuff like that in the new Okami.
Yeah, because that's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I disagree with virtually everything he said except for the characters in Skyward Sword. I do like the characters in Skyward Sword.
Gross. Anyway.
Groose is on the loose.
Is it okay for me to go?
No, yeah, you're...
Go for it.
we'll
All
go
right,
ahead
so
and,
I want to
we're
go
gonna let
ahead
you
and
go.
break down
I
the
just
combat.
realized how much time we had. so
Combat of Okami. So you
we
do
may
have
not reach it.
you
Hold
do
on, real
have
quick. I do want to say this for radio people. We may go over.
Well, he's
I
gotta
wanna go ahead
leave.
and say that.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. Let's go.
Well, he's got to leave. I might finish my argument on the way, but I'm not going to say anything that that you can't defend yourself against. So, man, okay. So the combat of Okami, you got 3 types of weapons, right? You got rosary beads, you got glaives, you got shields. Okay, you can have a primary weapon and a secondary weapon. How you use these weapons are extremely detailed, and they do have a unique combat system, and they all interlace with how you also use your paintbrush techniques. And he said that it's very straightforward and that it's more of just press the same button over and over again. That's not true. Every enemy outside of the first group of imps is a puzzle battle that you have to figure out how you make them vulnerable.
Okay.
From ogres that you have to open the buds on their back with the bloom to get to be able to damage them, to these little igloo demons that you have to trace fire to the inside to melt them so that you can actually attack them. Every enemy, aside from the very first ones that you fight, have a way that you have to figure out a way that you have to use not only the weapons that you have at your disposal, but you also have to use the brush techniques, which comes back into the design.
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword. It's not fencing. You have 4 ways to attack. There's like one, maybe 2 memorable bosses in the game. They have repeat bosses all the time, and this detailed system that apparently exists, you can typically just spaz your way through it. That's how I did it until I started actually trying to invest in the game. And all the collectibles that you have actually come back to bite you, because I got frustrated with the demise because I was so bored with the game by that time that I literally just drank invincibility potions and spazzed my way through that, because that's a thing that you can do. It has invincibility potions. But and I feel like a lot of the stuff that you can get, a lot of the systems they give you, like there's the stamina system, the awful way to travel with the loft wing, which should have been really fun. There's all the items that require you to point at the screen with your Wii remote like a ditz. It's just bad. It's not fun. It's just so obtuse. And then you have Okami, which, yes, it stole a lot from the game, but the combat system, it can be as in-depth as you want. And they give you a grading system for that specific purpose. If you just mash the button over and over again, you're going to get a bad grade. You're not going to get any of the extra cool artwork, which is amazing. You're not going to get any of the extra music. You're not going to get any of the extras at all. But if you invest in the combat system, you find your favorite weapon, you utilize ways to use it. Like with the shield, if you have that as a secondary, it actually pops up as a shield so that you can stop yourself from taking damage. With the sword, if you have that as your secondary, you can literally jump and glide on it into your enemy. And this is not to mention the way that you can slow down time. Like you have 13 different abilities that you can use in combat. They're all fantastic, and we just went off air on the radio. So if you want to head out, Logan, you can.
I was about to say, Eli, if you believe you're done, I can go ahead and kind of figure out a verdict really quick.
Yeah, I think that Okami, it has a lot more depth than people give it credit for.
Could you at least say that it, like, as far as the combat goes, like, yeah, solving puzzles for each enemy sounds really interesting, but at the same time, don't you think someone could get bored, like basically pausing the game to paint before they have to get back into the fight?
They're not complex motions.
Yeah, but couldn't you say that like some people would probably just like to fight the enemies instead of having to worry about that? Like Skyward Sword also has some like enemies who give you visual cues. Like a lot of the lizard foes have like different elements on their hands that you have to worry about. Also, I don't think you're giving the bosses enough credit. But at the end of the day, I feel like Okami's combat could have been a lot better. Like these different weapons sound really cool, but at the end of the day, you're still just pausing and then pressing the button over and over.
That's what you do in every game.
Not this Skyward Sword is not.
Yeah, Skyward Sword. You stand in front of your TV and swing on spastically, hoping that your mom bought you the Wii Motion Plus so that it works correctly. By the way,
Actually, I
Okami
think you
came
have
out on
to
the
have
Wii.
Wii Motion Plus.
Okami came out on the Wii, and it
Don't
used.
you have to have Wii Motion Plus for that game?
They released Wii Motion Plus with all the Switches after a certain point, like after 2010.
Yeah, all the Wiis.
Yeah.
But I think for that game specifically, you had to have Wii Motion Plus.
Yeah.
I will say one more closing argument. Okami did
So
come
that's
out on the
kind of
Wii,
yeah.
and it used motion controls in the painting, and it was actually really fun because it felt like you were the goddess painting on that world, just like the game wanted you to.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, it just makes Link look like weird because you're running ahead.
Did you originally?
You have to
Why
admit
don't
when
you-
he's
okay.
running ahead with the
Did
sword,
you
that is kind of funny.
originally
Though.
play it on the Wii? Or
I
did you
like-
play it on PS2?
I don't know.
originally?
I don't know why all these people say they have
Like-
like trouble with the motion controls because I didn't have any issues. Like if a guy is
It's
holding
not-
if a
it's-
guy is holding his sword over his head, I don't swing down. I swing up. It's pretty.
It's just because of the inconsistency, and it's not a bad idea. I like the idea. It was just it had some. You could even see at the E3 demo where they're trying to use it on stage and it's not working. Like
All right, I get
That's
it.
fair.
Maybe it's too complicated for you, but I didn't
it's
have
not
any trouble.
complicated. It's just bad.
I don't know if you had
It
if
worked
you had
fine
to,
in Okami.
if you had to swing it spastically because you couldn't understand how the blocks work. That's
I
fine.
didn't have to swing it spastically. I just could because
But you
that's
said,
all the game
but you said you
required
had
me to
swing
do.
it spastically.
I said I did because
You
that's
said
all
you
I
did
had to do.
because maybe you had to. Maybe
Okay.
it's too hard for you.
I was about to say, I'll be honest, for the past like minute or so that y'all have been talking, I've just been looking
All
at
right.
what I've written to
Yeah.
make a decision.
All right.
All right.
Well,
So I
gotta,
don't know what all
yeah,
was said there.
I'm
per
not
se.
saying anything else after you leave the room.
I got
Yeah. We'll,
All right.
We'll call that. We'll
I'll
call
be
see
that.
you, man.
Yeah. See you guys later.
That was a good dogfight.
Yeah. See ya. So, it's all good in the hood.
All right. Do you need a moment to deliberate?
As I've been looking, I've kind of been thinking about everything that's been said. I think the biggest.
I wish we'd have more time for this.
I know, I kind of do too, and that's why I tried my best to hurry with the Stretchers review. I think. So I'll go ahead and I'll wrap it up with this. And as I'm explaining myself and what I got from both arguments.
I'll mute myself now.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. That's fine. You can go and use the bathroom or something. I don't know. So, as I go through this, kind of developing my own thoughts and also talking about what I believe both of these guys were communicating with me, I'll make my decision, and you can listen as I deliberate in my own head. Here we go. So I'm going to start out with what was said about Skyward Sword and kind of like the bigger things I took. First off, at the beginning, he said that what he wanted to do the most was explain the point of view of the approach of the game and explain the risks and how they worked. He said the main selling point is the obvious one, which is motion controls. And he said that he believed this was the best example of a Wii game using motion controls. It was story-driven, where the regular guy becomes the hero to save the regular girl who becomes a goddess. Which is kind of interesting, I think, how in one game you control a goddess saving the world, and in another one you're controlling a hero saving a goddess. It's kind of interesting in that way. I think another cool thing that he kind of talked about was the area around the dungeons being an extension of said dungeon. He said it was more puzzle oriented in that aspect. How the collectibles you use actually are usable to upgrade your gear, because he said that was a negative for Okami. Well, Eli then countered with you can actually use the collectible bestiary points, something about bestiary points to upgrade stats and unlock skins. So I made sure I wrote down anything that was said to counter. I made sure I did that because I think you've got to take both sides on that accusatory kind of thing. Let's see. What else? Okay, so the game gets bigger as you explore. So as you explore the ground, the game gets bigger in the sky. In this game, every enemy can kill because you have to find an opening into the defense. I will actually nullify this one and the same thing in Okami because I believe it's the same thing, purely because in the boss fights for Okami, he explained how you have to find out how to weaken them in order to strike. And it's a similar thing in Skyward Sword, where you have to figure out the specific way to slash or figure out, do I need to slash now or do I need to do something else? So in that sense, strategy of boss fights is kind of null and void. So I'll do that. Makes you feel like fencing master. I wrote that down. I wrote it down. I don't know if that's really... Anyway. Let's see. The more powerful bosses that you fought in this game were mostly based on your swordsmanship, so you really had to know how to use that sword and actually get the correct angles. The bow was fun to use. I think he basically said that most of the items were fun to use. Yeah, let's see. Big music because it was orchestral. String instruments down below. Every character had a character arc, including Link, as he grows into a man. And then he gave an example of good boss design with Girahim, saying that this could be the best or closest we could ever get to a Zelda movie or TV show. And then the negatives he threw on Okami, one of them was negated because I agree. I think the unlockable skins and upgraded stats is actually a cool thing. Granted, I don't know how big these bestiaries are, but most of the time I don't complete Pokedexes, and if it's anywhere close to like 40 or 50, I probably wouldn't go too far into that. But it's cool for people that do it, and so in that way, that's a plus for Okami instead of a negative. The time stop when brushing, I thought was kind of interesting. To me, that's not something I can really say as someone hearing about the game. Since I haven't played Okami, I don't know how big of an impact that makes on the gameplay, and so I'll let that one slide. This may be like something that I'll play Okami for a bit and kind of come back and be like, here's what I think now. We'll see. Let's see. Didn't try solving the problems brought from its Zelda inspiration. I thought that was an interesting and unique point. And I don't believe there is anything that was necessarily said to specifically negate that. There were certain things that kind of were around that area, but maybe not something to specifically say, oh, that's not entirely true. This is something that actually fixed something. Now for a negative that was thrown into Skyward Sword's face was the attack system with the swordsmanship, the stamina system, and the loftwing flying, which are the three I wrote down. I think there was one more. But those are the three I have written. They weren't well designed. And I can actually agree with him on two of those, which is the stamina system and the loftwing flying. I think the way the swordsmanship was explained was pretty good. But I will agree the stamina sucked, especially since you really just had to run right for the stupid stamina fruit. And the loftwing flying was definitely something you had to get used to. I think Mario Galaxy tried doing a similar thing, and I also didn't like it in that. So I can definitely agree with that. Now to go to Okami's positives that were discussed. It is Zelda with style. And I think he said there are dungeons, but it wasn't really all about the dungeons. It was mainly about the exploration that happens in the game, and how everything is all related. And I will say, with their main opening arguments, he did a better job staying with that opening argument idea of everything being related, because he always came back to that, so I appreciate that. That was good. Let's see here. I do think the wording was funny because I did chuckle at this, but I also understand what he means. There were lots of vetted designers from other franchises that came together to make this game. And also he explained, that should have been in, that doesn't actually mean anything. That's just a negative for Skyward Sword that I already discussed. So that can actually go there. Okay, cool. So you use multiple tools to navigate your environment, and you influence the world with this celestial brush. A big thing that I really enjoyed with this was fast travel. That is something that every game should have, because if I had to go through Xenoblade without a fast travel, I would hate myself. Let's see. Use the movement to explore. I appreciate good movement, especially in these types of games. I think something that Zelda games didn't have for a really long time was good movement. I think Skyward Sword attempted to have better movement, but didn't quite hit that stride. I think Breath of the Wild is where it really kind of caught on with good movement utility. So then he talked about the Celestial Brush a little bit and the unique things you can do with it. The 3 weapons with primary and secondary, I thought that was interesting. I never knew that about Okami. And how you can use one as a primary one for your basic attacks, and then your secondary one has a special effect, so the shield can actually kind of defend you from things. The sword would you would jump onto it and fly it into an enemy or glide it into an enemy, he had said. And then he also explained how your paintbrush techniques actually go hand in hand with combat, and the combat, because of how the paintbrush is used there, can sometimes flow into your environment. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, this is the aspect that I null and voided with the having to figure out how to damage the enemy. That's kind of the same thing, and so I don't want to really say too much on that. As far as extras go, this is something that he only specifically talked about with skins and upgrades, which is the only 2 things that I heard about and cared about. Because I think skins are cool. I think that's something that a lot of more games should do. And upgrades are always good. In a way, I think as far as an extra, maybe not really an extra, unless it's just like a kind of broken upgrade thing. But it sounds similar to the upgrade thing with the tools that Link uses in Skyward Sword. So that may be not really a null and void, but just a difference in the games. Is this is considered maybe more of an extra in terms of how it's used. Maybe it's more of a you don't need it, but it could be useful. Interesting attacks, which I've talked about, and 13 unique abilities apparently. Overall, I think both of these games were very well fought for. I would say I think in terms of this is actually kind of difficult because I think both games sound like really decent Zelda games, where Okami is Zelda with more of an exploration aspect, but Skyward Sword goes more in. Yeah, you're good. But Skyward Sword kind of flows more into this is a Zelda game, but we're gonna try and maybe upgrade it a little bit, give you some quality things. This is actually really, really difficult, but that's the thing about being the judge in these. You have to make the decision. Yeah, man. This is. Oh, I know. There's never truly ill will in the end. It's a close one. Like this is something that I would have to be like. This is literally just by a hair, because it sounds like both. Because like the thing is, as I look at both of these games now as a side-by-side comparison on my Google Doc, I see the positives and negatives that I've listed, but also kind of like visualizing some for both. I think something that we didn't talk about too much in terms of either of these games that I wish we had gotten to go more into detail was the aesthetics and like the actual art design. And I don't want to go into that purely because that's not something we talked about. So I'm trying my best to kind of not use that. I think if I really just had to buckle down and kind of give a winner, man, this is super duper close. I think, and the reason I'm going with this one is for purely one reason, and that is the fact of it seems like in terms of sorry, my words are mixing. In terms of combat, it sounds more visually interesting in terms of how it goes and how it flows, in terms of how the speed is maybe kept. And I would have to go with Okami. I think, granted, and this is something that I would have to, oh, I heard banging on the door. Anyways, I would have to truly, I think to truly even vote for either of these, I would have to play them. I think that's really just how it boils. But in terms, like I said, I just think with the unique, varied abilities, I think with the
Hold on. Let me stop you right there.
Uh-oh. What?
I don't have anything else to say. I just want you to stop talking.
Oh, okay, fine.
No.
I'll stop. Gosh. Anyway, I think, and this is like I said at the beginning of my ramble, I think this is something I would have to, because I've played Skyward Sword.
Uh-oh.
I've already chosen Okami. I'll go ahead and tell you that now.
I came
you
to
heard
the
that?
I came to the door right as you were saying I choose Okami, and
Yeah.
now my heart is broken.
I'm sorry. So here's my thing. I think if we ever decided to go back on a review, this is my one. As a judge, I would want to play Okami and come back. I think, because especially since I've already got my views on Skyward Sword, and it's something that you had to kind of change my mind on almost, which I didn't hate Skyward Sword. I thought it was fine.
Dude, I'll gift you
It's-
Okami if you want to play it. I love this game.
You don't have to gift it. If you just let me borrow it or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, it's on my Switch.
Oh, it's downloaded. Okay. Anyway, but I think it's something that I would come back, even not really as a dogfight, but in terms of just look back. We could call it like look back,
Sure.
and on like you've played, like we'll say you played Monster Hunter and Kingdom Hearts, and you do that or something. I don't know.
Right.
Dogfight Revengeance.
Sure.
Revenge.
When the sun comes up. Anyway, so yeah, but I think these both are amazing games, and I just I really don't know what else to say at this point.
I think
It's so hard to choose.
I kind of wish we had more time to talk about it because like
Yeah,
really
for both of you.
like
We didn't get to talk about art style at all.
I
and
didn't
that
get
was
to
one of
talk
my
about the
big things.
characters, and I really wanted
I didn't
to.
either. Like I there were some really good characters. Like I wanted to get into
You at least
specific.
mentioned
I love
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but he's basically like he looks up to Link and he slowly but surely gets like really built throughout the
You
game.
help
and
him
he
get-
actually becomes a good guy
You
and
help
helps
him get,
people.
You help him get ripped as part of your side quest. I think his name's like
And then the
Olo
whole
or
love
something.
story that happens in Skyloft. And then for you, I know there's the random guy that gives Amaterasu like sword skills or whatever, or helps him.
Only
can't-
Gary
you-
Sensei.
He's like the apprentice of
That's his name.
or the grandson of the whatever guy who was the hero.
Hey,
No, that
Um,
okay. There's one sensei who you go to his dojo, and he has this really quirky intro scene where he turns from like an old shriveled man to like this really upright, intense dojo like master of martial arts. But you're thinking of Susano. who
Is he like the descendants of a hero? Yeah.
He's a sniveling coward and a lazy bum at the beginning, and by the end of it, because of your positive influence as this like nature goddess in his life, he turns into a valiant hero that actually saves the woman that he loves.
Aw.
You make a link.
That's cool.
That's interesting because like Groose kind of starts out as like
Yeah.
like a
No,
minor antagonist.
I love the characters in that.
It's kind of a
yeah.
similar aspect.
I like
then in that
Groose
way.
like starts as like a minor antagonist and becomes like a really big supporting character. So like it's weird. Like I'd like to
And
talk-
then Impa in that game is
Yeah.
actually pretty sick because she's old and she's young.
Yeah.
I like the cut scenes a lot of times, except for the ones with the imprisoned. I didn't mention the imprisoned. I was a good boy. I was a good boy.
I didn't
As it say.
I didn't mind the imprisoned as much as I remember as much as
Yeah.
I think I do because
It was just
I think the last time I played Skyward Sword, and I actually totally forgot about Imprisoned until you mentioned him right then. I think the thing that bothered me the most was it was kind of it wasn't the same every time you fought him, but it was repetitive in the sense of it's kind of similar every time.
yeah, it is. It's the same, but it's a little bit harder each time. That's
Yeah.
kind of a recurring thing in Skyward Sword. You got to go back to the same areas, but they're always a little bit different, or you got to fight the same enemies.
Or
but
you
they're
go to
Yeah.
like a different part of it.
Yeah, it's that. I think Skyward Sword might have been better, or it might have been viewed in a better light if it wasn't a Legend of Zelda game.
I would agree.
It's
maybe.
like there's less of a focus on exploration and more of a focus on being cinematic and telling a story. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
it
if
this
you
tells
went
a
more for
story.
that approach,
This
that may have
yeah.
been big because you kind of brushed it whenever you said the movie and TV show thing. I love the visuals in Skyward Sword.
I love how like
I think that would have been
yeah.
a good selling point to go off of.
yeah. Anyway, like
But
What if the next Okami, if they make another one, they just rip off Breath of the Wild mechanic?
I would shriek.
if they rip
I'd
off
lose
Breath
my
of the
mind.
Wild, I revoke this win.
Yeah.
Okami,
But it
Okami,
had-
Okami 2 for the Nintendo Wii.
But like Breath of the
Oh,
Wild,
no.
it has fun combat.
Hey, I like the combat in Breath of the
Actually-
Wild.
okay.
I
Okay,
did.
listen.
I did after the first 30.
You actually
first 30 minutes.
don't like the combat
It's okay.
in Breath of the Wild. You think it's repetitive.
I think it's okay.
I
I mean,
like
I
it.
don't. I don't It's
I-
not that I don't dislike it. It's just like
Yeah. We
Eh.
should probably
Yeah.
go ahead and get
I
off
can just
air.
parry.
We're kind of starting to ramble.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So,
anyways,
guys, thank you so much
yes.
for listening to the show. Thank you for listening to me ramble for probably like 20 or 10 minutes as I continued to ramble about who won. If you liked this show, please give us a like and also subscribe and hit the bell so that way you know when we do it again.
Do it.
Next Friday at 3:10.
Yeah.
Actually, are we doing a show next Friday at 3:10? Is that a thing?
we'll talk about it.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I
Hey,
know that's Thanksgiving break.
We're definitely
Right,
doing
so-
a show tomorrow,
That's right.
Yeah.
11 to 1.
Doons and Doogs.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And we'll
gimme.
all be here because this is going to be an interesting development. You'll have to wait and see.
Gonna be
Maybe.
consumed.
So yeah,
Bye.
check it. Bye. Get out.
The adventure.
Goodbye.
Anyways,
Hasta la
Yep.
vista.
this is Doghouse. Signing off.